Grove and Allen East. Baraz in the O-line coming in, Mays leading them. They look to control the line of scrimmage here. Allen East continues to average over 30 points, but can they stop the Bulldogs? That's going to be a big deal. Grove is predicted to win by 7 touchdowns. We've already covered Bluffton and LCC. Next up, Crestview heads to Jefferson. And we don't know if Penix is going to be back or not, but this has to be a week where Jefferson's circling to kind of get back and get their things going. That Pasture has this only has a few touchdowns, favorite for them, and obviously they're going to have to control the passing game if Jefferson wants to stay close in this one. Fort Loramie, 2-3 versus Spencerville, 3-2. Hart and his duo receivers will take to the air and really kind of put all kinds of pressure on the Bearcats this week. Carter Orr and company will have a big game. They got to get that winning taste back in their mouth. Fort Loramie's favored by, I think, 16 points in this one, 17, something like that. So I don't know. They got some interesting stuff going on in this game. I think this one's going to be a fun game to watch as you're looking weekend, or I'm sorry, you're refreshing your WSN app or whatever app you use to check in.
Yeah, for sure. Moving ahead into the Western Buckeye League, St. Mary's, they're going to travel over to Van Wert. This is a matchup between two of the top 3 rushing teams in the Western Buckeye League. Let's see. Van Wert, they actually have the top rusher, Briston Wise. He's averaging just about 144 yards a game on the ground. And the third rusher is over on St. Mary's side in Dominic Osborne with 126 yards per carry. So this one, you should see a lot of offense coming from the ground. The thing about Van Wert has been, though, they started off really well. That offense was firing. The last 3 weeks, they've only been able to muster 14 points in each one of those games. They're going to have to find a way to get that offense back going again.
Yep.
St. Mary's, they sit 5th in total offense heading into this one. Van Wert last in the league in turnover margin. They have given the ball away 10 times this season, and they're going to have to be able to hold on to the ball. St. Mary's so opportunistic, and we know how they like to bleed the clock with that run game. It is going to be vitally important they win that turnover game. And then St. Mary's, though, they're coming off a game where they uncharacteristically only had 168 yards of a total offense. However, they did still find a way to win. So if you're St. Mary's, you got to be feeling pretty good going, you know what, even when we get off script, when things don't go well, we're finding ways to win. But maybe some tape coming out of OG that Van Wert can take a look at and see if they can't maybe find the secret to slowing down St. Mary's. Bath at Ottawa Glandorf, an extremely interesting one with two teams that are playing very good. Bath right now sits tied up top the Western Buckeye League standings. They are a 3-point favorite against OG.
Coin flip.
Yep, a very tight one. This will be a matchup between the second-ranked defense and the top-ranked offense in the Western Buckeye League. Bath, they've had over 500 yards of total offense, and that come from behind victory in the final minutes against Elida. This is the second straight week that they had to come from behind, and they had to win in the last minute of a game. They're very, very resilient. OG, they held St. Mary's to those low rushing yards, or total yards like we just talked about, but they did end up coming on the losing end of that one. Despite being so tough on teams, though, for yards per game, OG is just middle of the pack in the points per game. Meaning, OG, they're going to need to win that field position battle, right? Like, what that tells me is they're giving teams short fields. They're holding the yardage down, but they're giving up a lot of points. Well, then you need to get them farther back. Win that field position battle. Make them have to travel farther down the field because your defense can hold up. You just can't keep giving people short field position. So
that's going to be a test this week.
And that is going to be very, very difficult because not only that, they're going to have to find a way to slow down Zach Welsh, who's the second in the league in passing. And we've talked a lot about Zach Welsh over the last couple of weeks.
Gets a little easier for the Indians this week. Huh?
Yeah, and then if you look ahead, unfortunately for Shawnee, they are they're in a rough spot. The offense is struggling at the worst possible time as they're in the middle of playing for the top 5 scoring defenses in conferences. They do not. They are traveling to Wapak.
They're not.
They are not at home.
Short trip.
They leave the friendly confines of Shawnee to travel over to Wapak to take on that Redskin team. Shawnee's offense comes in last in the Western Buckeye League. They're only averaging 17 points per game, and they are facing the top defense. Wapak only giving up 14.5 points per game. The Shawnee defense, they've given up over 40 points in 2 of their last 3 games and are going to need to find a way to get some pressure on Caleb Moyer. Caleb Moyer really coming on, a very good quarterback. Yeah. They got to find a way. If they can slow it down and try to get the ball out of his hands, that they'll give themselves a chance here. Shawnee right now trying to find themselves, hopefully against Walpock, they can get going back in the right direction. Defiance, they take on Kenton as the Defiance team. After starting 0-2, they are on a 3-game winning streak.
Right,
they've scored 40 points in back-to-back weeks for the first time in over a decade.
Damn.
That offense is getting ready to go. And despite the record, Kenton could easily be over 500 right now. And I'm going to talk about the reason why here in a little bit. But they've been on the wrong side of back-to-back nail biters. I would think that we would have a lot of offense in this game. Defiance, they have scored a lot of points lately. We know Kenton can put up a lot of points. Yep. This one should be a really good game. I think it's going to be a sneaky game. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people think.
Are you hinting to something here?
I might be. We'll talk about that. All right. And then finally, Salina, they are going to travel to Elida. A game of streaks going in opposite directions. Salina's on a 3-game win streak after a big week by Bobby Morris and John Lutz. On the other side, Elida, they're on a 4-game losing streak. That shootout with Bath, maybe gives them that shot in the arm that they need, and it gets that offense going once again. However, they immediately go up against a very tough task going against a Salina defense that is only giving up right around 15 points a game. It will not be easy. It'll be a great one to watch, though, and see who comes out on top there.
All right, heading to the MAC, we got Marion Local and Versailles. Guess what, folks? They're both undefeated. Somebody's walking out after this one, a loss. Coach Goodwin was quoted in the paper saying that, they're just continuing to get better on both sides of the ball. I mean, just a solid system. We've talked a bunch about them all year. But Versailles is they're not ashamed of this game. They're ready to go. They're 5-0 too, and Marion's got a heavy favorite in this one, but this one's kind of tight in the series. Marion has a 28-23 victory in this, so look for this one to be an interesting one to check out on your apps as you're looking there, unless you're in person. Delphos St. John's 2-3 versus Anna 2-3. Somebody's gonna get 4 losses. Delphos St. John's try to get their winning ways as they roll into as Anna rolls into Stadium Park. Anna's favored here by 10. And for me, I'll tell you what, Nate, I when I was doing my research for this, I think this really comes down to the defensive side of the ball. St. John's has been able to stop people this year and through injuries and no excuses. And if they can stop Anna, look for them to really possibly come away with a victory.
St. John's has been able to stop everybody other than Marion Local.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good point. I think
in all fairness, most places aren't able to stop Marion Local.
I think if you let me,
why they are where they are.
I think if you let me finish, I wrote that in there, or did you just steal that from me? Okay,
is it in there?
Yeah, it's in there.
Listen, I'm trying to find the magnifying glass because I'm having a hard enough time reading what I wrote in here.
All right, I know you're old. All right, so that's what that is. I guess we'll just roll that. Nate's right. They did not stop Marion. So there you go, folks. New Bremen 3-2 versus Fort Recovery 1-4. The Cardinals are at home as the Indians come to town, and Fort Recovery has won 8 of the 28 matchups in this one. So New Bremen's kind of dominated here. The last time that Fort Recovery's won is in 2017. We know Fort Recovery looks to run the ball. I think this one's gonna be a quick game. New Bremen favors the run. Fort Recovery favors the run. I don't think these coaches are going to try to pretty this game up at all. They're going to smash each other in the mouth, and they're going to see who gets in the end zone more times. So for me, it's going to come down to turnovers. I think ball control will be big, and turnovers will be a matchup in this one. Coldwater 5-0 versus Parkway 1-4. Coldwater hosts the Panthers, and this is a huge spread. Coldwater obviously a huge favorite, but the Panthers just got to put four quarters together. Blockberg and company have things going. They seem to be clicking. They survived a tough road win at Minster, and now they got the Panthers coming to town. So we'll see what happens in that one. Minster 4-1. Looking to get that bad taste out of their mouth, and they're heading to St. Henry after taking a loss. Their first loss, they try to get back to work. I imagine this senior-laden team is going to be foaming at the mouth to get back on the field.
Yeah, you would think so. Hopefully, there's not any hangover. I mean, because St. Henry, no slouch for sure.
Yeah, I just don't see that. But you're right. I mean, I think this will be a fun game, and St. Henry has a very dominating control in this history of this game. They've won 36 times. Let's get to the NWCC, my man.
Yeah, quickly going through the NWCC. Perry, they're going to take on North Baltimore. Perry look to get back to 500, a matchup where they are currently favored by 20. Waynesfield Goshen, they're going to take on Cory Corey Rawson, Waynesville Goshen, they got back into the win column. They're going to try to add another one against a Corey Rawson team that is trying to right the ship. Since week one, since the week one victory, for Corey Rawson, they're on a 4-game losing streak, and they've been outscored 126-16. So we're going to see if Corey Rawson can maybe get some things going back in the right direction on their side. Upper Scioto Valley, they are going to travel to Ridgemont. Upper Scioto Valley and Ridgemont. This game is probably the biggest game in the conference. Both teams undefeated, trying to stay up top of the conference. USV on a 4-game win streak, while Ridgemont is on their own 4-game win streak. So somebody's going home as a loss for the first time.
Circle this one for the conference. You called it.
And
who wants that conference
100%. And then the other team that is tied with them, because it's a 3-way tie right now, and that's Hardin Northern. They're taking on Ridgedale. Hardin Northern, they're going to take on a struggling Ridgedale team who is still looking for their first win of the season. We'll see if Nolan Hobson's able to do what he's been able to do all season. He has a prolific start on the ground, and I suspect that is going to continue this week against Ridgedale.
It will.
So I'll tell you what, coming out of this week, the NWC is going to tighten up. You're only going to have mostly
NWCC.
What did I just say?
NWC.
Yeah, and whatever. Throw the other C in there. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. There's 2 of them.
I got you, man.
So the NWCC, you're only going to have 2 teams most likely up top now undefeated as that one is starting to close up. So taking a look at some of the other ones, Lima Senior, they got a big one against Woodward. Yeah. Woodward struggling this year. They're still looking for their first win. Lima Senior, an overwhelming favorite. They are almost a 50-point favorite in this one. Remember, you can go check out all of these lines, all the things that we tell you as far as who are the favorites and all those things. Go to fantastic50.net. You can check out any game you want, any team against any matchup. It's a great website. We use it so much.
Super fun.
Yeah, Drew Pastro does a fantastic job.
It's so easy to navigate all that thing. It's just click,
so
click,
easy.
Click.
You end up in a rabbit hole so quick.
For sure.
Lima Senior, they are 3-0 against Woodward, including a 56-6 win last year. Janias Hall, he continues to lead, not the city, not the state, but the country in passing. Janias Hall having a fantastic season. If Woodward would somehow be able to pull off an upset here, it would by far be the largest upset in the state. It wouldn't even be close, but I got a feeling the Spartans are going to roll. Moving on, Ada, they are 4-1. They take on an Arcadia team, still searching for their first win. Ada, big favorite in this one. They are predicted right now as a 43-point victor. Levi Green looks to be he looks to be only getting better every single week. That kid,
yes, he does. He's looking good.
His confidence is through the roof. He's getting it done on his legs. He's getting it done through the air. He is leading that Ada offense. And I'll tell you what, them Bulldogs, they are looking right at home in the BVC.
Yes, they are.
And finally, the Findlay Trojans, they take on Springfield. The offense, they're going to look to get back on track against Springfield Holland, a team that they are currently a 39-point favorite against, as the Trojans look to get back to 500.